Good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to start National Preparedness Month webinar series with you in our presence. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. But before we get started, we just want to let you know that this will be recorded. We want you to share this recording with your community and faith-based members. We don't want you to be hoarders of information, but really use the information that you get here, reach out to each of the speakers, go to the websites that we make reference to, and really be a part of some of the work that we're providing for New Yorkers. Our goal is to really give you an introduction into what we provide in our community outreach. So you're going to hear from 3 great speakers. We also want to introduce and remind you of National Preparedness Month and the importance of that. And so hang tight. For those of you who may need closed captioning, on the bottom of your screen, if you hover your mouse, there should be something that says CC, or it might say live transcript, and you have the option to turn it on or off. And so you will be able to get live closed captioning throughout the duration of this webinar. You also will note that there is a chat box as well as a Q&A. We encourage you to use that Q&A box to put questions in as you have as they pop up. But if you feel more comfortable with putting your questions in the chat, that's okay as well. We'll monitor that throughout the process of it as well. So please, feel free to introduce yourselves via chat. We love to engage with you in that way. Never hesitate to ask your questions as well. We'll make sure that we try to answer them today. And if not today, we can answer them tomorrow. All right. So good afternoon officially. My name is Mariah Washington. I get to serve as the Director of Community Engagement here at New York City Emergency Management. This is my 4th National Preparedness Month with the agency. And every year, this is the time that we get excited and stressed. Excited because we love nothing more than to give information and share our resources with the community, and stressed because we have so many different events that happen throughout the week and we finally get in the community. And so on today, I'm joined by 2 of my wonderful colleagues. We have Tony Ann, who is with the Ready New York program, and we have Alyssa, who is with the Partners in Preparedness program. So you're going to hear from both of them later on. So don't worry if you don't see their faces anymore. They're going to come back. They'll present a little bit about their programming, and you'll be able to enjoy their presence as well. So a little bit background when it comes to emergency management. With emergency management, there's a lot of different things that people think what we do and what we don't do. And so what we want to do is create an opportunity for you to know what we are able to provide for New Yorkers. But before we do that, we want to give you background on our agency. So for our agency, our goal is to help New Yorkers before, during, and after emergencies through preparedness, through education, and through response. And you may say, well, Mariah, how are you all doing this? We have a crew of over 200 folks who are part of our agency, and we have people who focus on creating emergency plans in partnerships with other city agencies, state agencies, as well as federal agencies. We have other folks who coordinate with the private transportation entities. So almost any emergency that you could think of, we have a team of folks who have prepared for that emergency. So in our work, as we prepare for emergencies, we want to get New York to a place where we can continue its operations after we've been hit by emergency. So that's really the power of preparedness, and that allows us to launch into that place of recovery and response as well. We have an emergency operations center, and this is a really good picture. In it, you see a couple of different women. You see a woman in a very vibrant pink shirt, another individual who's standing with a shirt that says New York City Emergency Management, and you see a couple of other folks in the background in front of computers. And so the reason why this place is special is this is a place where we're actually able to coordinate with the other agencies when emergencies happen and even before emergencies happen. So often folks are like, well, what are you all doing? Like, why aren't you on the ground? We send somebody on the ground to observe, but we are the folks who make sure that folks are doing their roles. We liaise between agencies, we coordinate between agencies, and we strive to not take lead over emergencies. So if there was a big explosion and it involves fire, the fire department would be lead over that emergency. But you can count on us to be part of that process to really coordinate the other agencies and remind folks. We like to tap people on the shoulders. Hey, remember, you got to step in. This is your responsibility during this response. Here's what's expected. It's in these centers that we also coordinate that side of human services. So is sheltering needed? Is language access needed? Is food needed? Is water needed? What else? What about infrastructural? Like, what is the impact? So we have subject matter experts, people like you and I, who we focus on that one thing so that when it comes before and during, folks know to call onto us. So the Emergency Operations Center, when COVID happened, we did go virtual. So we're able to do a lot of great work remotely. And so we don't always use this space in the fullness that we did before, but we often hold a lot of different emergency operations centers virtually as well. For the response and recovery, we have our citywide interagency coordinators. In this picture, you will see like an orangish brick building with smoke coming out from the left side. You see an FDNY, 3-4 FDNY trucks with ladders towards the building. And right in front of the image, you'll see two individuals who have New York City Emergency Management jackets on. These individuals are citywide interagency coordinators. And so what they do is they're listening in on the radios and the communications, and they go to the site of the emergency to assess the level of the impact. They're the ones who kind of tag the rest of us in and like, hey, you know what? There's over 150 households that's been impacted by this emergency. We're going to need to go ahead and get people in place. And from there, we start activating our different plans. So our citywide interagency coordinators are critical for us to really know, what's going on. They're the eyes and ears of the operations before they begin. In terms of coordinating information, I hope that you each have Notify NYC, which is the city's official source of information. And that information comes from our watch command. So in this image, you see an individual in front of 7 different computer monitors. They also have access to the radios of the fire department, police department, the EMS, the commissioners, the mayor. They have access to all these different folks. They have the traffic cameras available so that when emergencies happen, they're able to communicate it, but also they're able to get that information and notify the rest of New Yorkers of like, hey, Bruckner Boulevard has a 5-car pileup right now. Avoid going, highway has been closed. That's information that we share and Notify NYC. It's hurricane season. And so we also will share, hey, we have a very big storm coming right now. We want you all to kind of get your supplies and be prepared to stay in place or go to higher ground. So whenever you wonder, like, who's going to message me? No one's saying anything. We need you to register for Notify NYC. We can't take control. We can't give you that emergency Amber Alert messaging as a city government, but we're able to give you messaging as you sign up for Notify NYC. And within our programs, we have 4 programs that engages with community. And you're going to learn about each of these 4 programs today. So we have Ready New York, which takes care of the individual preparedness piece. You have CERT, which is a volunteer program made for folks 18 years and older. You have the New York City Emergency Management Community Preparedness Team, and we do community preparedness. We work with organizations, faith-based congregations, as well as community networks. And then you have the Partners in Preparedness. They do workforce and organizational preparedness, and they focus a lot on that continuity planning. So how can your nonprofit continue to be in operation with services in spite of an emergency happening? So at this time, I am going to pull on the stage Miss Tony Ann, and she will take it away as it pertains to Ready New York. One second, Tony Ann.
Thank you, Mariah, and thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. We really appreciate you coming and learning more about our agency. So once again, my name is Tony Armagiro. I'm the Individual Preparedness Program Manager here at New York City Emergency Management, and I specialize in the Ready New York program. So Ready New York is the public education campaign of the agency, like we touched on before. Throughout this program, you can learn all about the hazards that we may face in New York City and how you can prepare you and your families for any type of emergency by 3 basic steps we like to go over: making a plan, choosing a meeting place, and gathering supplies in your home. So when you have to leave in a hurry, you're prepared and ready. For Ready New York, we have a few different targeted outreach strategies that we choose to efficiently and effectively reach all New Yorkers on how they can stay prepared. The first one is individuals and immigrant outreach. So individuals is really everyone in our communities. All New Yorkers should take steps to be prepared for an emergency. And our guide on the next slide, which you'll see in a little bit, the My Emergency Plan, offers tips and information in up to 13 languages and audio format on how you can stay prepared. We also, moving down on that tree on the left-hand side, have the older adults outreach. Emergencies can present additional challenges to older adults. By planning ahead, you will feel more confident about protecting yourself during an emergency. Moving down, we have disabilities, access, and functional needs. People with disabilities or access and functional needs must take additional steps, just like older adults and immigrant outreach, when making a plan to stay prepared for emergencies. We also have the kids and the youth outreach, which we have our Ready Girl Emergency Management Superhero, which is an award-winning program that teaches children and their families about how to stay prepared. In 2020, we started outreaching our Ready Up New York City webinar, which is similar to the one today that covers different emergency topics on how New Yorkers can stay prepared. So if we move to the next slide, like I mentioned, I moved a little bit too fast. We have the My Emergency Plan, like I discussed before, to help you and your family stay prepared for emergencies. This has tips and tricks for all New Yorkers on how to stay prepared. And as you see on the right, we have the plan available in 13 languages. And also, if you have a smartphone, on the upper right-hand side, you can scan our QR codes so you can read more about it virtually. So that is basically Ready New York, and I'm going to pass it off to Mariah again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony Ann. Our next program within our community outreach is our CERT program. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. CERT is made of 18-year-old and older adults who are New York City residents, who go through a series of very intense training to learn how to respond to emergencies. They become dedicated volunteers and learn the basic skills needed for fire safety, light search and rescue. Sometimes when there are missing persons, they do some light support with that. They also help when community disasters occur. There was a community emergency that happened this weekend, and they were helping distribute water. So there's different roles that our CERT members have. They receive medical training as well. Their commitment is really because of their interest to really be part of a change and be part of a friendly face in their community. And so often we encourage every New Yorker who has a couple of extra hours to really commit your time. And right now we have several vacancies happening in basic training. Traditionally, the basic training was targeted of like, okay, we're working in the South Bronx for this cycle, and then we'll get to the next community. Now they have integrated, and so all of the 5 boroughs can work together in one cycle. So if you were interested in CERT before and it wasn't in your community just yet, I would encourage you to look into it again and very much apply, because they are looking for additional folks and their cycle starts soon. In the picture on the left, you see a group of CERT members with arms over shoulders in their green polo shirt uniforms, and they are here tabling at a test and trace event. And these folks are also part of South Bronx Emergency Network. So that's the image you see on the left, and on the right, you see a very exciting fire, and there is a firefighter there training a CERT member who is in proper gear on how to utilize the fire extinguisher. Now, I mentioned it before, and I'm going to mention it again. CERT is looking for you. Please apply. Basic training cycle 42 is from October 25th through December 8th. And so what that means is you're 18 years or older. They do a security check. You pass that background check. You commit, and you get to choose your option. You can do option one of doing Monday and Wednesday nights for that whole duration, or you might say, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays work better for me. This is a hybrid model. So there are sessions that are virtual, and then there's going to be times where they ask you to come in to our Brooklyn headquarters located in Cadman Plaza. So again, CERT is looking for you. Apply today. Now I'm super excited because I get to talk about the program that I get to be part of with some of my amazing team members, and that is the community preparedness team. So we serve and we lead and we collaborate with 3 different major groups. We work with the hyperlocal community-based organizations, the hyperlocal faith-based congregations and organizations, and we work with community and faith-based networks. So you might be saying, Mariah, what's the difference? Like, why are you using this hyperlocal word? When we say hyperlocal, it's our acknowledgement that there are so many amazing small organizations, grassroots, who might not even have a 501c3 doing amazing work in the community. And we want you to sustain when the next emergency happens, right? Because it's never if, but when the next emergency happens. And so we really are targeting these smaller organizations and congregations to get the information that is in the minds of your executive directors, your founders, your lead volunteers, and put it on paper. Create a plan. What steps do you need to take to create that plan? Hey, do you have a resource guide? Hey, what about communications? We go through various different modules, which I'll get to later. On the bottom left hand, you see an image that is LES Ready, Lower East Side Ready, who is a community organization active in disaster. So they work and respond to emergencies that happen citywide, as well as specifically to their communities. They're joined with a couple of CERT members, and this was when we were doing distribution of supplies during the first wave of COVID back in 2020. In the middle picture, you see some folks sitting around a table with the map in the center of the table, and the folks are beginning to map out where are resources located. What does that look and feel like? And on the far right bottom image, where it says community and faith-based networks, you see several different tables in this large white space with folks working with workbooks. So a network, we define, is a coalition of organizations or cluster of organizations that are working for the common focus of some type of mission. So it may be that they're an environmental group, or they might be Mothers Against Violence, or they may be, hey, we're a social justice and housing advocacy cluster of organizations. We're a network working for this common good. And what we like to do is say, hey, you're already doing amazing work. What does it look and feel like if we help you all and provide some additional trainings for you to prepare for emergencies? And when community preparedness is in action, we do our preparedness and capacity building trainings. We do a lot of intro levels. We want to make sure folks are warmed up to what's going on. So we utilize that Ready New York. Like, once you have your household prepared for an emergency, you're very much comfortable with, now I can think about the community. We provide that coaching and technical assistance. So between myself, Jill, Emily, and Sanasa, we'll meet with your organization and your network to really help you go through the process of completing a product. So that product might say, you know what, we really need to put this resource directory together, because now we understand we can utilize it after an emergency and even before an emergency. And we're a lot about community and team development. So that means we're going to be attending those meetings when you invite us. We really beg, like, invite us, like, we want to be part, not because we want to be placed on your agenda, but because we want to be part of your team and be part of your community and learn the needs, learn the strengths and the amazing assets, and then learn about those gaps. And we can figure out, as that coordinating agency, where can we connect resources for your network and your organization. Much of our work is done virtually. However, we also are coming in person. We don't have any restrictions. And so our only request is, give us 2 to 3 weeks so we can book the speaker and we can be in your presence, whether it be during the day or the weekend or even early evening. And I want to tap a little bit on that capacity building piece, right? So we have some training series that we do, which I'll go over the next slide. We do the National Preparedness Month webinar series, which we're starting today, where we'll provide 2 webinars every week during the month of September for any and everybody to join in. Of course, we're definitely looking for people like you who are leaders in the community and faith. We have seasonal webinars, so extreme heat, coastal storm, winter weather. These are things, flooding, these are things that come and happen. And we want to give you targeted preparedness training around that for you to get the information and share the information. So you hear me say that, like, share this information, share it. All that we do is to do that. We do trainings by request. You may say, well, you didn't name anything I need, but this is what I need. More than likely, we're able to put pieces together and create that training for your organization, for your congregation, and for your network. And then we have our annual preparedness symposium. And here lately, these past 2 years, we've been incorporating the voices of many of the community organizations throughout New York City. And that's something that we want to continue to do. So when we push out the call for presentations, we want you to definitely, if you are an expert with best practices that can benefit other folks, we want you to share it. And some of you might say, Mariah, I'm not an expert in this. I just do it really well. And I've been doing it for 10 years. You're an expert. Like, you know how to do it. You know the systems of how to do it. Share it with other community organizations so that they can level themselves up to that level of preparedness, because we know that the better prepared you are, the more resilient you will be collectively as a community when the emergencies happen. So taking a small step back, you might be wondering, well, what kind of tools do you utilize? We have this amazing community emergency planning toolkit. This toolkit has various different components, but it goes over the before, after, and how to put a plan into action. What we've done, though, because this toolkit is great for you to get your wheels turning, we've really taken time to break it into some modules, right? So we have mapping resource guide in the middle, you'll see. We have needs assessment. We have creating an emergency communication plan. We have managing donations and volunteers. These are all components that have been extracted out of that toolkit. So we never encourage you to pick up the toolkit and just complete it and fill in the blank. It's something that's really a collective process. So we like to take you through these steps. On the left side, we also have a couple of other trainings. So we do organizational preparedness, which is a 3-step process, kind of like a continuity plan, but a much lighter version of, like, what are 3 steps that you can take as an organization to keep your operations and services continuing to go. So we've presented this to food pantries and soup kitchens, smaller groups, and we would love to present this to you as well. If you're a faith-based congregation, we would love to present this to you. I always say to the faith-based congregations, like, hey, houses of worship, when's the last time you had a practice fire drill during a day of service? And we pause there because the answer is usually we don't. But think about how many folks you have that you are serving on your days of worship, and really think about their safety as well, of, like, what are some considerations. We also have created different webinars around how to plan for multiple emergencies, right? So in 2020 and 2021, we still have been actively responding to COVID-19 while also, oh, wow, there's been a main water break that has impacted this whole community. How are we responding to both of these emergencies? So we're really trying to get faith and community-based groups in position to really be able to do 2 responses at the same time, because we're in the city and things happen. And on the far right, you see something that says strengthening communities. And this is targeted specifically for existing community and faith-based networks or coalitions who are already meeting, 4 times a year. They're already doing great work. And we take them through a 5-step process to create a community emergency plan. They receive funding after they receive training and coaching and complete a deliverable. they get unrestricted funds. So that means they can spend their funding on additional resources for the network, paying for this volunteer that's been wanting to be a staff member, but there's been no budgeting for it. And they can also buy resources to do events around preparedness. And so I want to pause there, encourage you to put some questions in the box, and I'm going to play a video as well.
That's why New York City offers the Strengthening Program. It's open to local networks with strong community connections. Experts help your network build a community emergency plan. The network gets paid as each step. Apply now because it pays to be prepared.
All right, so I'm going to pause there, and I get to pass the mic over to Alyssa. 1 second, Alyssa.
All right, thank you so much, Mariah, and thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Alyssa Borger, and I'm the Strategic Partnership Specialist here at NYCEM. And today I'm going to talk about how our unit supports NYCEM's overall mission and how we support our city's businesses and nonprofits. Where do we fit in? We aim to meet partners where they are at. With a diverse city and business landscape, we understand that a one-size-fits-all approach is not the best approach. We partner with other organizations such as the Small Business Services and Economic Development Corporation pre- and post-incident to share information and resources. We also provide detailed information as incidents unfold, preparedness materials, exercise materials, webinars, and in-person events. So how do we do this? The Strategic Partnerships Unit offers several resources to cities' businesses. We have our Partners in Preparedness program, which provides free resources, information, opportunities, and support in creating a plan, getting prepared, and helping businesses become resistant and resilient to disasters. We help organizations make informed decisions through our CorpNet program. And we also support access coordination through our corporate emergency access system during emergencies and after emergencies. As an emergency support function within the Emergency Operations Center, we relay targeting information to the private sector to lessen impacts and to help coordinate response. Our Partners in Preparedness program was created in 2011. We now have over 700 participating organizations, and we reach more than 500,000 employees. This program was created after meeting with private sector partners to help determine their needs, and it was determined that a no excuses approach was needed. Partners complete 5 preparedness activities, 1 from each category, to show their commitment to preparedness. Some of the activities are things that organizations are already doing, such as having fire drills or reviewing their plans. However, there are several other activities that are not as common, such as conducting an active shooter training with their staff, hosting a Ready New York presentation, or encouraging their staff to have a go bag at home and at work. Once our partners complete all 5 activities, they receive a digital PIP seal, like you see here in the slide, for their current year, as well as a certificate in the mail that's signed by our commissioner. This seal has been popular amongst organizations undergoing audits to show that they're in communication with the city and they're also committed to preparedness. We continue to support organizations as they annually renew these steps. And we believe that having prepared businesses creates prepared employees, which helps support overall community preparedness. This is our partner portal registration. So through this page, either at the top right here where it says register or start now, you can register for Partners in Preparedness or CorpNet. After we review your application, you can use this page to log in to access your dashboard and our resources. And this is our dashboard. This is where you can record your preparedness activities. in the 5 categories. We have our stay connected, get prepared, keep your plan current, share information, and test your plan. You can also access our tools and resources, which are past webinars, our tabletop exercise toolkit, and you can also register for events that are hosted by our unit. And finally, I'd like to share an example of something that we do regularly. We share out a weekly brief, and this brief highlights incident updates. So during COVID, we would put pertinent incident summaries. We also share the weather outlook. This was back in March when we had much colder weather. So we had a cold weather alert because the temperature and wind chill was at or below 32 degrees. We also share pertinent preparedness information. Right now we're sharing Know Your Zone campaign resources for hurricane preparedness. Back in March, we were sharing our cybersecurity resources from CISA, and we also share resources from other organizations such as Small Business Services. They hold quite a few webinars, so we share the access to those here. And we also share our private sector COVID call, situational awareness call information. So partners receive this every week, and they're able to join in on calls. And with our situational awareness call, they get to talk to Dr. Ray from Department of Health and Mental Hygiene and ask questions so they can develop messaging for businesses and ask pertinent questions. We also hope to have a webinar later this month for preparedness for business continuity, and we have much more planned for the future. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mariah.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. So I've seen the comments. I saw that you all did not get to hear the video very well. Do not worry. In the follow-up email, we'll be sure to drop the link for that video. As we close out, we have a couple of reminders that we must remind you of. The first one is we want you to be connected to our resources. Everything that we do as an agency is free. So everything that Tony Ann has spoke about, everything that Alyssa spoke about, everything that I've shared, it's for free for New York City residents. If it's a matter of, hey, that's great, but we need it translated, let us know. Like, we truly are a resource and we know how to coordinate, and we want to get this information to all New Yorkers. In the past year and 2 years, we've seen so many emergencies impact various communities. And every time it happens, it always like makes us kind of flinch. While we are grateful that we can jump into action and be a resource, it saddens us sometimes because we're like, oh man, if we had got to this community, you know, they could have been better prepared in this way. So we really say all these things not to scare you, but truly to prepare you. And we really want you as the leaders in your community and your faith-based groups to really create a culture around preparedness. So one step that we've seen an amazing leader do is, you know, register for Notify NYC. So you could type in www.nyc.gov/Notify NYC. And there it will take you to a website for you to register. If you're like, listen, I'm not good with technology, call 311. 311 is a true number that we utilize. We give them the most up-to-date information when emergencies happen, but more importantly, they can help you register for Notify NYC. We get these messages out in 12 different languages because we know it matters and it's important. Know your zone. It's hurricane season right now. And so it's really critical. If you're on those coastal areas, you need to know your zone, because in the event that the next storm comes and Mayor Adams says, all right, we need to evacuate zones 1, you need to know where zone 1 is. Are you living, working, or playing in a evacuation zone? It's important to know that these zones are specific to New York City. They're not flood zones, they're evacuation zones. We have so many bridges, so many highways, so many streets. We have 8.2 million plus residents in our city. And so we coordinate these zones and evacuations. If we evacuate a zone, we also make sure that we provide some type of public free sheltering for residents as well. So always know your zone, where you work, where you play, and where you live. Know those areas as you think about, oh my goodness, what are my first steps? Tony Ann told you very briefly, 3 steps. You can get your My Emergency Plan on our website. You got to make a plan. So your plan might be, all right, call Auntie Joe. She lives in Philly. Everybody call Auntie Joe if anything ever happens. That's where we check in to make sure everyone's okay. Why? Because we know when major emergencies happen, our lines get crossed and we can't call each other in the city. So making a plan, it's something that you might already be doing, but we want you to kind of write it down and practice it with each other. It's not too young to work with the little children. Tony Ann mentioned Ready Girl. Ready Girl does some amazing work. She works with the Marvel superheroes because she's a superhero, right? So it's never too early to talk to young people about the importance of preparing for an emergency. And then there's community. So you are very much involved in community. I think that's why you joined, because you're like, how else can I get some more information? So tap into our plan. We have a lot of emails that we're going to share with you. You're going to get an email from us within the next day or so as well with all this information. Now, we want to touch very briefly, because you keep hearing us say National Preparedness Month. So every September, it's National Preparedness Month. It's the month that we really want all residents of the United States to focus on preparing and planning for emergencies. So this week, it might be, hey, y'all, like, let's figure out who our main point of contact is. Let's document people's medical needs and make copies of it. And let's put it in a go bag. Or that's too much for today. Let's document everything that we can and make copies. Next week, let's start putting together a go bag. If there's 5 people in my house, we need 5 go bags. And if I have a cat, the cat needs a go bag too. So be mindful of these things. Break it down in pieces that will work. If you're an organization that's already serving folks on a weekly basis, think about ways you could bring us in, or you can share this information out as well. So on the national level, the theme this year is protect your legacy. That speaks volumes in itself, because who doesn't strive to create or maintain an amazing family legacy? But protecting your legacy, you have to prepare. So we really want you to make a plan and prepare for these disasters. And as you think about ways to join us, I'm going to look through to make sure I'm not missing any questions. I don't see any right now. So I'm thinking that's okay, but I don't know. I feel uncomfortable that there's no questions. So go ahead and drop those questions in. And I want to just remind you of our upcoming events. So you see, we have a series of virtual events that are happening via Zoom. Every week, we're going to try to blast out those reminders for you to sign up. So we really are appreciative of you all joining today. This Thursday, we have our Is Your Organization Ready? So that's the Ready rating. It's a training for you to kind of rate the readiness level of your organization. And that's going to be led by American Red Cross. And they take you through some steps. They have some cool tools. So if you're like, no, I think we're ready, or if you need to make a point to your co-leader of like, we're really not ready, I went to this webinar hosted by Emergency Management, and look, we're not ready. We're not ready based on this rating. Let's get a plan together. We have some communication strategies. So we're building up. All right, if the emergency happens, yes, you can amplify, notify NYC, but what are your steps to reach out to the people you serve, the people who work for you, the people who volunteer with you? What are your steps? What are some scripts that you could pre-create so that you're not like, oh my goodness, what do we say? You already have it ready. You copy, you paste, you send, or you copy, you paste, you print. So we really want to encourage you to get as prepared as possible. Alyssa mentioned that there is a webinar happening around business continuity and how to preserve documentations as a business. So stay tuned as we get more information for that webinar as well. And we have some cool in-person events. So we have our Pets and Service Preparedness event, which is happening in, I think, next week, 2 weeks. And that's going to be at Union Square. So I know you're working, but if you are downtown, swing by with your pets. We're going to have some cool giveaways and just the reminders of how to prepare and the importance of preparing your pets and service animals. We're going to be at the Staten Island Children's Museum doing family preparedness. We'll also be at the Bronx Zoo doing family preparedness. So we encourage you to be part of this. If you're saying, listen, how can I really access any of this information? It's just too much. You're going to go to our website. I'm going to drop it in right here. It's www.nyc.gov/N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, M as in Mariah. And you're going to go to that website and you're going to see all the national preparedness events that we're hosting as an agency. And so I see a question here. How often do you need to be recertified for CERT? Once you are in CERT, you have to remain active each year. If you're inactive, then they'll put a hold on you. And depending on how long that hold is that you've been inactive, will determine if you have to retake some classes. They also have been building up a very rich curriculum to keep CERT involved beyond the basic training. So if you are interested in CERT, we definitely encourage you to email them and register as well. We have some resources here that we'll all share with you again in about a day or so, so don't be alarmed. So we encourage you to go to Notify NYC. We want you to check out the Community Emergency Planning Toolkit, the Ready New York Guide, Prepare Your Household, Partners in Preparedness. They have amazing things happening there. The CorpNet, Alyssa dove into the details there. So check out these pages. They're not there for decorations. We truly want to share that information with you. And we also have some career opportunities that we really want to share that are active at this time. So the first one, I think it might be too late for this calendar year, is the John D. Solomon Fellowship. So you can go to that website and check it out. And that is an opportunity for folks who are pursuing their graduate degree to get experience in public service. And so you can be with emergency management and or another location. We also have our AmeriCorps NYC Service City Service Corps. So these are AmeriCorps members who serve with Ready New York. They serve with CERT, and they also serve with community preparedness for about 10 months of service. These individuals have college degrees, have high school diplomas, have some college or no college, right? We're still actively looking. So we encourage you to go to NYC Services website and check out these roles, because we are still looking for our Ready New York Corps member as well as our community preparedness Corps member. We did some summer youth as well, which was really cool. So we encourage you to, if anything, you're like, hey, I want to intern there, or what's the jobs, you can email us at jobs@oem.nyc.gov. You can also go to the New York City Public Careers website, select agency as emergency management, and you'll see a lot of different opportunities right now. So we're currently hiring for a CERT operations and engagement specialist, counsel for the agency, public warning specialist, a chief equity and diversity officer, all hazards planning program manager, and there's about 25 other different vacancies. Some of these roles are very new and exciting, and others of them have been slots that we've been waiting for over a year to fill, and we finally got the go ahead. And so we really encourage you to go on our websites and apply. So you might say, hey, how can we contact you? What can we do? Our information is right here. We encourage you to go to community prep at oemnyc.gov. You can also email me personally at mwashington@oem.nyc.gov. For partners in preparedness, you're going to email strategicpartnerships@oem.nyc.gov. And then for Ready New York, you're going to email them at readyny@oem.nyc.gov. That was a mouthful. All right, so we're going to hang tight. I don't see any other questions, but I want to make sure that we are not rushing you all. I know that was a lot of information. Some of you might say, hey, I want to bring you back. Can you do this presentation, but focus more on partners in preparedness? Yes, email so we can coordinate that. We're relaunching that program because there's been different priorities. And so, yes, hey, I want to know about how you can engage with my community. Yes, you can email us. We want to come to you and do that for you. Yes, this recording will be available. We're going to make it available to you within the next day or two. We do have some operations happening right now, so just be patient with us, but absolutely you're going to get this information well before Friday, if not sooner. Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't want to rush us off. I see something. Thank you all for joining. We hope this was helpful. I hope you feel that our energy and eagerness to really, we want to be part of the community. We're a very small and mighty team. For there to be 8.1 million people, I think collectively with all of our community outreach team, we might have 12, I think that's generous, 10 people in total. And so just imagine, like, we're not touching all the corners and communities that we want to, and we need your help. So we want you to share this information. When you get this email, share this email with your other co-leaders. And again, if it's like, hey, can you just come talk to us? We don't know where we want to start, but can you just come? Yes, we could come. We want to come. We love to come. And again, if you need that translations, just let us know. We could bring a translator with us as well. All right, so that's going to be our time. Before we head off, Alyssa, Tony Ann, do you have any closing remarks?
Nothing from me. Thank you, everybody.
Me either. Thank you everyone for attending today.
Thank you again. Stay ready. Emergencies happen. Are you ready? As the shirt says, we don't want to prepare you. We don't want to scare you, want to prepare you. And we know that it's not if, but when that emergency happens. So take care, sign up for Notify NYC and share it. If you already have done that, then start packing your go bag. If you already have a go bag, then create a plan for your household. Where's your meeting place? Who's the auntie, uncle, cousin, or friend that everyone can call that lives outside of New York City? There's so many steps to take. Just choose one step and commit to that one step this week. And then next week, choose another step. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure to be with you all. Stay safe and get prepared. Have a good day.